Let's get into it. Soul Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We have some really interesting news. Now, first I saw this in the Daily Mail and I was like, nah, I don't know about all this. So I hopped over to X to see what was going on. And it's Trump plots stunning White House briefing shakeup that's set to change the media landscape forever. Now, what this is Trump is thinking, forget CNN, MSNBC, and all New York Times, all of these people who have been seen lying, who have been so disingenuous, who have been basically trying to divide and conquer us, and giving White House press credentials to people who are podcasters. Rogan has been mentioned. I think Tim Pool would be in the conversation. Patrick Bet-David. It's a very odd thing. Now, I had to see, I'm like, is this real? So I find something on X, Charlie Kirk. He's talking about the same thing. He says Don Jr. revealed on his Rumble podcast, Triggered, that Trump is thinking about giving press credentials to podcasters. The plan would be would include some of our podcast buddies like Joe Rogan and others taking seats from discredited legacy media. This is crazy. Let me go a little lower. It's unclear which news outlets would be on the chopping block, but this is the latest nail in the coffin for dying mainstream media. Elon is right. We are the media now. But the thing is, when I see this, all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk, he has the same article. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not enough. And then I find Don Jr. himself actually verifying this. Listen to this.
But I wonder now, as your father is assembling his team, as maybe Caroline Levitt is looking at the new press briefing room chart, maybe it's time to reorder that chart and maybe take away some people's seats.
So we're going to break some news here because I literally had this conversation. I was flying back. I was on the plane, I guess, with my father. I think it was coming back from the SpaceX launch with Elon last week. And I was sitting there. And we were talking about like the podcast world and some of our friends and Rogan and guys like you and me to a lesser extent. I wouldn't be able to get a seat. That would be nepotism or whatever the hell. I'd be indicted again. I'd have to do more congressional testimony, so I'll pass. But we actually had this conversation about like, given how the media has behaved. I mean, you brought up the New York Times. You saw the fact check of Bobby Kennedy talking about the different ingredients in Fruit Loops. And it was like, no, it's exactly the same as Canada, except we use yellow dye number 5 here instead of like orange, like carrots. And we use purple dye number 2,376 instead of blueberry extract. And I'm like, that's your fact check? Like, it's the same, but for these like really toxic chemicals that are banned in, dozens of countries. Like, I don't get it. But we had the conversation about opening up the press room to a lot of these independent journalists. Like, why should, if the New York Times has lied, they've been adverse to everything, they're functioning as the marketing arm of the Democrat Party, like, why not open it up to people who have larger viewerships, stronger followings? Like, it's not like the New York, I mean, how much money are they losing a year? The Washington Post, lost 70 to 45 to $70 million. Doesn't seem like they're a great success. So just because they've been there longer, it's like the way Congress functions. Like, you get a committee, not because you know anything about banking, but because you've been there longer. And it's like,
right.
Doesn't seem like a great way to do things. So we've had that conversation. Like, that's a great idea, Don. I was like, I think we should do this. And so that may be in the works.
Wow. So very interesting. Of course, nothing is final until we hear it from Donald Trump or we just see it in action. We just hear about it. But he's having a conversation. It's an actual conversation that has happened. Now, here's who I think for sure the people of Redacted, they should be on the list of people who should get in. Patrick Bet-David, Tucker Carlson, Tim Pool. I would just think he would just be, imagine Crowder. This is insane. And here's the thing. It's going to be all like conservatives. Because what left-wing media hasn't functioned exactly the way Don Jr. just said as a functioning arm for the Democrat Party? They all do. And if they're not, they're taking their talking points from places that are. New York Times, MSNBC. Charlemagne the God's not going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to him. Great guy. but he just takes too many talking points from the left-wing media. Obviously, he veers from time to time, but they're not gonna be taking anybody like that. I don't know. And I'm just talking about YouTuber land, obviously, but imagine Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum at the White House. Oh my God, the questions he would ask. President Trump, when are you gonna just handle these left-wing lunatics? They're all over my timeline. We all see them. They're crying. They're cutting their hair. And Trump's going to be like, well, Officer Tatum. I like that name. It's nice. Very short, but nice. Hits hard. It's going to, and they wouldn't even be talking to Trump. They would be talking to the press secretary. And we've all heard that it was Tucker Carlson. That whole thing was going around last week, or around the 14th to the 10th. There was a bunch of rumors of that, but that's not happening. Tucker Carlson doesn't want that job. If it was Tucker, it'd just be a straight up podcast. And also, let me just go back. Joe Rogan. He said he was thinking of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's almost a billionaire. He's not going to the White House. What is it, weekly that they do that type of thing? The briefings? Joe Rogan's not showing up there weekly. Jamie's not showing up there weekly. Jamie's a grown man. I know they call him young Jamie, but he's a grown man. He has a life. He's a dog now. He's not doing all that. But I'll tell you who would do that for you, Joe. I'll tell you who would. I would. 100%. Put me in. I'll wear just what I'm wearing right now. Except the shirt will say JRE. I'm in. Put me in. I'll be there. No problem. I'll ask all the questions. You just give me a list of questions. I'll ask every single one of them. I'll make sure of it. I'll make sure to get called on. Oh, goodness. That would be amazing. But it's a very odd thing that's going on right now, man. Again, going back to Tucker Carlson, the rumor was spread on X. One of the downfalls of X is that people find the Trump Vance branding and then they put their own messages in. This one literally says, honored to announce I have named Tucker Carlson to serve as the White House press secretary, and blah 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 blah. But it was completely fake. It wasn't signed by Trump or anything. Community Notes even stepped in, told everybody it was fake, but that didn't stop it from spreading like crazy. I have a couple of clips of Tucker Carlson actually commenting on why he wouldn't do this. Here, let's check this out.
Congratulations, first of all, that President Trump has selected you as press secretary. I was stunned by that news last week, and I woke up, I said, what the hell? And I immediately knew it was a joke. Not a joke, but I don't know who started the rumor or who made a fake post about it. What was your morning like that morning? Because I texted you. I knew it was a joke right away. I texted you and I just said, this is hilarious. But I'm sure people fell for it, right?
Well, I was actually working that morning when it came out, I guess, because by the time I got to my phone, it was just overwhelming. That's the last job you would want. I'm 55. After 33 years in the media, I don't want to sit in a room full of people from CBS News, and have to host some party line. I love Trump. I voted for Trump. I did rallies for Trump. Adult men can speak for themselves, and I don't think anybody, at least any middle-aged man, I speak for the middle-aged man community, wants to read other people's talking points. Of course not. And I definitely would not do that. I would not work. Most people haven't been in the briefing room at the White House. It's the most depressing, airless, sad, kind of just creepy. It smells like a Tim Walz's locker room. It's just like naughty stuff has gone on there. Impure thoughts have been had there. I just don't want to be in that environment at this age at all. But I would love to go for a day and do a guest gig or something just to get my aggressions out. That would be fun.
Yeah, that's Tucker Carlson. Just so you know, that was not my video. Redacted. They do their thing via Zoom, and their Zoom was a little choppy. That's happened a couple of times on interviews that Tucker has had where he gets a little choppy. But again, this guy right here, he has a mainstream background. I'm sure they have a team of a couple of people. This guy, his wife, one of them should be out there, the White House. Why not? Megyn Kelly, why not? They've been so truthful and maybe even myself without Rogan. I don't know. Send me out there. I'll ask a bunch of questions. I'll stay after. I'll ask AOC things in the hallways. I'll find Nancy Pelosi and I'll ask her a question. I'll do all sorts of stuff. If you give me White House, if I'm able to be in the White House, you kidding me? And I won't mess it up either. Tim Pool would mess it up. I think out of everybody I said, the person who would get kicked out, Tim Pool, 100%. If it was him, actually him himself, he would be like, I gotta ask something a little wild. He would just ask something way out there, and he would just be combative about it, and he would get kicked out 100%. But that's why so many people love him, because he would do that, and that's what you need, you know. But Tucker Carlson not accepting that job, guys. So that's never happening for us, no matter what. Although, if all of a sudden it was a bunch of podcasters, if it was a bunch of people in independent media, you know, Tucker has expressed in this clip I'll show that he has this disdain for mainstream media.
You would be the greatest press secretary in the history of the United States. Take the freaking job.
Can you imagine? No, I think I used to say to reporters who worked for me, I would always have the same rule. I'd always give them the same lecture. And I would say, you can't, you should be passionate about things, but if you can't cover your own girlfriend because you love her. So your view of her is totally distorted. I always say to my wife, who's almost 56, I'm like, I think you're just totally hot. Maybe you're not. I have no idea what you look like at this point, but I think you're hot. Because my view of my wife is so distorted because I like her. And I think the same is true for hate. If you hate someone, you should not be covering the person because you can't see their humanity. You're just blinded by rage. And I feel that way about the national media. I mean, I really mean it. I dislike them. I know conservatives are always telling you how much they hate the media. I hate the media. Imagine if you're me and you spent your whole life with them and you know them all personally and you know just how corrupt they are, that they would, and they have, sat there and told lies that put people in prison, separated them from their children. Like, I could not be in a briefing room full of people like that. I would just be spitting hate at them, and I don't want to be hateful. I don't want to be around people I hate, and I really mean it. I would be up there like screaming at them, you know what I mean? And saying horrible things to them, like really horrible, personal things. You know what I mean? Because I know what they've done, and I would just say it. And I don't, that's not the Christian way, and I don't want to be that guy. So no, I can't do that job.
Man, too bad. How good would that be? Tucker Carlson calling out Caitlin Collins as she tries to ask a very nasty question, very disrespectful question. That would be great. Seeing them go back and forth. Oh my God. I never even thought of that. I've never seen them sit down together. That would be incredible to see. Both of them just going at it like that. That would be very interesting. But Tucker Carlson won't be doing it. But again, if he finds out it's all podcasters and it's not the same people that he hates, maybe he would reconsider. Maybe 2028 we see Tucker Carlson take that job. But I think Tucker Carlson, he'll be in a different stratosphere by then. He might even be running by then, quite honestly. Let's be honest here. Man, but yeah, I don't know, guys. What do you guys think of it? I think elections have changed completely. And really, you really have to give thanks to, I know Donald Trump really steamrolled it near the end of his campaign and throughout it, but RFK was the guy. He was doing all the interviews. And then Vivek was also taking all the interviews constantly. I think those two are really responsible for this whole shift that we've seen, because they got on these podcasts, they did these long form interviews. They would talk extensively about what they plan to do. And it was incredible. The reason people love Vivek is because they know him from so many podcasts. Same with RFK, because they know him from so many podcasts. So if it's changed there in terms of how people campaign, why wouldn't it change in regards to, the White House briefing, whatever they call it? Why wouldn't that change? It should change right along with it. Have different people in there. Give different people a chance. Every single time one of these podcasters got Trump or got Vivek or got RFK, what did they do? They released the whole thing in full. They didn't cut it up. They didn't take little sound bites to make RFK sound crazy. They just let you see the entire thing. They were more truthful. They've been more truthful time and time and time again, from all the way 2020, March 2020 to now. They've been way more truthful than anyone in the mainstream media. So why not give them that opportunity? Why not get rid of all the legacy media? You know, maybe one person MSNBC, one person CNN, you know, one person, I don't know, New York Times. I don't know what paper you would really think of. I don't really look into all that. You know, maybe like 4 seats, because there's like about 40 to fill. 4 seats. The rest of them, podcasters. Go ahead. And even throw in some Young Turks. Throw in some David Peckman, whatever his name is. Throw, Destiny. I don't know. Like, there should be some left representation there. But why legacy? Why legacy media? You know? Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think of this whole thing. I think this should change. I'm ready to go. Joe, if you ever see any of my videos, I hope you don't hate me. But more than that, I'm ready to go. I will be the representative, 100%. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.